So we're going to talk about the Ottoman Empire, the Safavid Empire, and the Mughal Empires. These are Islamic empires. So as you see here, the Ottomans were Sunni Muslims who gained power after the Mongols left, and they built one of the wealthiest and most powerful empires in the world at the time. Here's a summary of the Arabian Nights, 101 Arabian Nights. There you go. So the Safavid Empire was a Shia Muslim empire, and it's a rival of the Ottoman Empire. The Mughal Empire. As you see here, the Mughal Empire is created by the descendants of the Turks and Mongols, who built an empire in which a Muslim minority controlled a Hindu majority. As you see, it's in India. So as Islam spread to new settings in Afro-Eurasia, believers adapted it to their local customs and practices or local cultural practices. They split between Sunni and Shia traditions, and this intensified Sufi practices, and they became more widespread. They were all gunpowder empires, meaning they had guns. Oh, right. So, similarity in political structure. They all had a centralized government in which an absolute ruler who had both political and religious authority governed their empires. Suleiman, Abbas I, and Akbar were all absolute rulers at the height of each empire, and they were counterparts. So the rulers had sweet stashes. Check them out. But these Islamic empires weren't necessarily always friends either. You can read this here. So as you read this here, they're not exactly always friends. At times they allied themselves with one another against, or they allied themselves with Christian states if it suited their political needs and their expansionist needs. So similarity in social class structure, each had slaves as an institution. Non-Muslims were slaves, but the status of slaves varied widely depending on the empire. So as far as the European perspective on the Ottoman Empire, as you see here, this Austrian ambassador to the Ottoman Empire in a 1550 letter to the Austrian emperor gives you some insight into how Europeans saw these empires. So as you see, just as we were leaving the city, we were met by wagon loads of wretched Christian slaves who were being led to a horrible servitude. Youths and men of advanced age were driven along in herds or elsewhere were tied together in chains. I could scarcely restrain my tears in pity for the plight of the Christian population.